Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to learn one of the most important Linux security topic, SELinux. SELinux is widely used in Red Hat, CentOS, Rocky Linux, and Oracle Linux environment. This is very important for system administrator, DevOps engineers, and OpenShift professionals. In this video, we will learn what is SELinux, why we use SELinux, how it improves security, and we will see real-time practical demonstration. So make sure you watch this video till the end. Now we will talk about what is SELinux. SELinux stand for Security Enhanced Linux. It is a security module built directly into the Linux kernel. SELinux provides additional layer of security on top of traditional Linux file permissions. Now you will understand for SELinux we will call security enhanced Linux, and it is directly built into the Linux kernel. Means there is no need to install any extra packages to use the SELinux permissions. And the one more important thing is that SELinux provides us the additional layer of security, where that additional layer of security SELinux provide the additional layer of security on top of the Linux file permissions. Even if a process is running as a root, SELinux can still restrict what that process is allowed to do. Means here SELinux also restrict the root user. Everyone knows the root user has the all permission to do the anything into the Linux system. But in the case of the SELinux, root user cannot do anything without the permission of the SELinux. So these are the main important feature of the SELinux. Now let's understand into the simple meaning. Even if a program is running as a root, SELinux can still say, no, you are not allowed to do this. Everybody knows root normally has all the permissions, but SELinux add extra security lock on top of the root. SELinux was originally developed by the NSA and is now maintained by the Red Hat and the Linux community. Now you will be understand how the SELinux works on top of the traditional Linux file permission. Now talk about the NSA. What is NSA? NSA stand for National Security Agency. It is a US government organization responsible for protecting government computer systems, researching advanced security technology, c- cyber security, and information security. Now, why NSA is related to SELinux? Because NSA designed SELinux to add a strong security controls to protect system even if a root is compromised. And the later SELinux was realized as a open source. That's why NSA hand over the SELinux to Red Hat and the Linux community to maintain that SELinux. Now we talk about why do we use the SELinux. By default, Linux use a dictionary access control. We call that DAC. DAC use the user, group, and file permissions. But the problem is that if a process become a root, it can access almost everything. Now, when the SELinux come to the picture, it introduced mandatory access control we called as a MAC. With the MAC, rules are enforced by security policy, not by the user. Now you will understand in Linux there are two types of security and two types of permissions. By default permission is used the dictionary access control base, and the another one is that the SELinux mandatory access control. And also we will see the dictionary based access control use the users, groups, and file permission. But in SELinux use the mandatory access control. With the help of that rule, it is enforced by the security policy, but that policy is not maintained by that user. Even root cannot break the SELinux rules. So this is the very important security policy used by the Linux, even though root cannot break the SELinux rules. That's why SELinux is extremely important into the production server environment. Now we will talk about the real world security example. Suppose Apache web server gets hacked. In your environment, you are running the Apache web server and that web server will get hacked. And in that server, without SELinux, hacker can read or change the system files. But if you have the SELinux enabled into the Apache server, the Apache can access only the website files. It cannot touch the system files. So, even if the Apache is hacked, the damage is limited. This is now SELinux protects Linux system in the real life. Here we can see without SELinux, what will happen in our system, and with SELinux what will happen into the system. Without SELinux, it will damage the lots of things, and without SELinux, the hacker can enter into your system and access your system files. But with SELinux, Apache can access only the website file. Even though when hacker hack your Apache servers and the SELinux is unable into the Apache server, so that hacker only access your website files. The hacker cannot touch your system file, and you cannot face the critical damage into the production environment. Now we will talk about what are the SELinux modes. SELinux works into the three modes: enforcing, permissive, and disable. What enforcing mode doing here? The enforcing mode block unauthorized access, means it prevents you from the hacker with the help of enforcing mode. Permissive mode, it's log violation but does not block. Permissive mode means once you do the permissive mode, you can allow the hackers to enter into your system. Even though disable mode also do the same thing. Now you will have the question how to check the current SELinux mode into the Linux system. So here is a one command, get infos. With the help of this command, you can see in production system SELinux should always be in enforcing mode. Now we will talk about SELinux context security. What is SELinux context security? Every file and process has a Linux security context. Now the question is that how that security context will work and what are the format of that those contexts. So here is the context format is that first is user, role, type and level. These are the four security context format SELinux preferred. For example, you have running the Apache web server and your file present inside the var www HTML directory. So how you will be check the security context format of that HTML directory with the help of ls-capital ZD and your path of the HTML directory. When you hit the enter, you can see system-u, that is the user, object-r, that is the role, httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t, that is your type, and the colon as 0 means that is your level. Each of these contexts are comma separated. So when you hit the ls capital ZD command and your path of this directory, so you will be able to see what is your security context type. Now we will talk about in that four contexts which will be is more important context format into the SELinux. The type field is the most important into the SELinux context format. HTTPD underscore sys underscore content underscore t means Apache is allowed to read this file. Suppose you haven't seen that context format into the other directory means Apache does not read this file into the SELinux mode. So that time you will face the issue regarding of the SELinux context format. Let's do the practical. Here I am open the new putty session and install the HTTPD package with the help of DNF. DNF install HTTPD. This is the my web server package we install into the Linux server to check the web page is working properly or not with the help of SELinux. Press the Y button to download the HTTPD package from the Red Hat repository. Once you successfully download that HTTPD package from the Red Hat repository server, we have to check the status of the SELinux with the help of get infos command. With the help of get infos command, you can check the status of the SELinux. It shows the enforcing mode. We see that there are three types of SELinux status: enforcing, permissive, and disable. After installing the HTTPD package, we have to check that package is running or not with the help of systemctl command. Systemctl status httpd dot service. See, by default that httpd service is disabled. We have to start the httpd service. For that we use the start command instead of status. The command is like systemctl start httpd dot service. See, my httpd service is running successfully. How you will get that service is running successful? With the help of systemctl status httpd dot service. See, now you can see my service is active and running before 20 seconds. In that status, you can see that at what date, time, and second your service will be started. After that, we have to enable that service into the background mode with the help of systemctl command. Systemctl enable httpd dot service. See, when we enable that service, it will be create one symlink into the multi-user dot target file. That file name is multi-user dot target dot wants. In that directory, that systemctl create the httpd dot service. Why? Because when you restart your system, that time when the system is going to reboot, that time that service automatically restart into the background, and there is no need to restart again when your system is into the online mode. So these are the benefit when we enable the service into the background. Now after that, we have to create one custom directory into the slash root with the help of mkdir command. Mkdir slash myweb. See, that directory is already present into the my system. Once you create the myweb directory, then we have to create one index.html page into that directory. But here we cannot create that index.html page into the myweb directory because it already present. So here we take the another directory mkdir space, we create myweb1 directory. After that we create one index page. This is regarding to SELinux with the help of echo space double quote SELinux test test page, and that page we redirect to slash myweb1 slash index dot html. Fine. So here I am change my custom directory, that is myweb1 slash index dot html. Inside that directory we create one small index.html page that is related to SELinux test page. After creating the test page, we give the permission of that directory chmod 755 slash my web1 directory. We use hyphen capital R, that means we give 755 permission to that directory recursively. Recursively means inside that directory whatever you can create directory, the instant of my web page. So that directory gives the permission 755. Then after give the permission to my web1 directory, we go to the httpd configuration file which is located in /etc httpd con/httpd.com. Now here we see the document root. Now in that document root we change the directory path. Here we use my web one directory, and after that also we can change the directory. Here also use my web one custom directory. After doing that changes, we have to save the file with the help of escape :wq command, and then we restart our httpd service with the help of systemctl restart httpd.service. See, here you can do one thing. Before restart the httpd service, you can check the httpd service file syntax with the help of httpd-t command. Why? Because if you do any critical changes into the httpd.conf file, so before restart you can use httpd.t command. That command will check the syntax inside of the httpd.conf file, and if you face any kind of syntax related issue, so httpd.t command will show you that line whichever you can do the changes and you forget to complete your changes in that file. So be remember, when you do any critical changes into the httpd.conf file, always check the syntax with the help of httpd-t command before restart the httpd service. So here we can see my syntax is okay, means whatever changes I did inside the httpd.conf file, that is a valid changes. After doing the changes, go to the browser. First we check the IP address, and I am trying to open my browser. Here I am use the incognito window and check. See, my default web page is coming instant of SELinux test page. Why it's coming? Because the HTTPD service, that default web page from etc httpd confd welcome.conf. This is the path. From this path, the HTTPD service shows us the default Red Hat Enterprise Linux test page. So here what we do, here we can remove that file, or we can move that file to another directory. Go to the console, we rename that file. What is that file location? We check that file location is slash etc httpd confd then welcome.conf. So what we do here, we simply rename that file, and after rename that file, what here we have to do, if you do any kind of changes related to the httpd service, after that you need to restart your httpd service to reflect that changes. But what we said, that before restart we can check the syntax of that file. See, here I am not doing changes into that httpd.conf file, but still this is a best practice. When we do any kind of changes regarding httpd, simply use httpd-t command to check the syntax. Once you confirm your syntax is okay, then you go to restart your httpd service. See, after restart the httpd service, then check what happened. See, my default web page shows me the forbidden error. What it said me, you don't have a permission to access these resources. Why? Because I am doing the correct changes, but still it is not showing my default SELinux test page. The reason is why, because in my Linux system, SELinux is running and SELinux is denying to my web page to show into the browser. Here, these are the very important security SELinux provides us through the HTTPD service. As per the audit point of view, these are the very high level security that SELinux provides us. Why? If someone access or someone hack your Linux system through the web browser, and that hacker, you knows very well, they can access your critical file system and damage that file system. So to avoid this kind of critical issues, SELinux only give the access of that particular directory if someone hacks your Linux system. So there is no critical changes that hackers doing into the Linux system, because SELinux provide you very strong level security into the browser level and into your HTTPD configuration files level. So After doing the changes, now I want to check my test page into the browser. So how we will do that? So first we'll check what are the permissions SELinux give us to my directory with the help of ls hyphen ld capital Z slash my web one. See, the my web one directory get the permission that is unconfined, that is user level permission, the role, and then type and the level. So my the main important thing is that into the SELinux, that is type. Here my web page here my directory is my web one. So my web one directory shows the type is default, and when you see that ls hyphen ld capital H slash where www html. See, when you see that the html directories type is httpd underscore sys underscore content. These are the types http. These are the httpd types SELinux read to display your web page into the browser. Now we have to change that SELinux type policies with the help of chon command. With the help of chcon hyphen r hyphen t, and you have to give the type, what type you want to set into your directory, that is httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t, and which directory that permission you have to give, that is my web one. So chcon is a command, hyphen r used recursively, and hyphen t belongs to type, that types is belong to httpd context, and to whom give the permission, we have to give the permission to my web one directory. See, after giving the right context permission into the directory, we refresh that our web browser and see that my SELinux test page is working fine. Earlier we saw the forbidden error because of we haven't set the proper SELinux context permission into my web directory. So let's see what the permission will get into my web directory with the help of ls-ldz slash my web one directory. See, now my web one directory act as a HTML directory. That default permission SELinux set to that directory. Earlier you see my default permission set the default underscore t to my web one directory, and the default permission set to the HTML directory as per the HTTPD server, it shows httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t. So as per the httpd level, httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t, this type is very important as per the SELinux, because SELinux only read this type of context to show the web page into the browser. After restarting the Apache, the web page shows 403 forbidden error before giving the right permission to the my web directory. But you can also see we haven't changed any permission into the my web one directory and not doing any critical changes into the httpd.conf file. So this is simply SELinux doing its job to deny the web page into the browser. So you can see that lively how SELinux denying the web page into the browser. You can also check with the help of curl command, curl http colon slash slash and this IP address. See, my web page is working fine. You can see over the browser and you can see over the console. For interview point of view, Apache was blocked because SELinux allow it to read only files label. That label is httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t. That is a label SELinux read to allow the web page to display the your web content. After changing the context permanently using the semanage command, now we are fix the issue with the help of chcon command. That is temporary, we fix that issue. SELinux works using the labels. Apache is allowed to read only the file label as a httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t. These are the labels Apache read to display the web page. When our web file didn't have this label, SELinux blocked the Apache. After assigning the httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t, that label, SELinux allow Apache to read the file. Now that label httpd underscore sys underscore content underscore t tells to SELinux this file belongs to Apache. That reason when we give the SELinux label permission to the my web one directory, after that we can see our SELinux test web page is display. SELinux does not trust permission alonely. It checks the label and it trusted label for Apache web content. Without this label, Apache cannot read the files. It shows the forbidden error even if the permissions are correct. And with the help of this label, SELinux allow the access and Apache works normally and your system stay secure. Now we will see that we fix the issue without disable the SELinux by assigning the correct label to your myweb1 directory. If you found this video helpful, like the video, subscribe to the channel and comment which topic you want the next. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Happy learning.